Left-handed pitcher Ty Block, who starts today. David Hess, Evan Phillips, Chandler Shepard, plus catcher Austin Wins from AAA Norfolk. The Orioles have also selected the contract of outfielder MASN Williams from AAA Norfolk. Williams will wear number 40, and the Orioles have designated for assignment infielder Jace Peterson. Now, we're going to go to St. Petersburg, Florida right now, inside the Dome, and Roch Kubatko is going to join us. And, Roch, let's talk a little bit about MASN Williams. Kind of surprised about the call?
Not a little bit, yeah, just because they didn't bring him up all year, and they were going to have to select his contract. He put up really good numbers at Norfolk. They signed him, I think it was right around opening day, as I recall. I think we were in New York when we got the news, and I kept thinking at some point maybe. I checked on it. There was no buzz regarding him at all, and yet his numbers across the board were really good. I'm told he's an okay, average center fielder, not necessarily above average defensively, but he is a center fielder, so it gives him an edge over some other players who have been there at this point. They waited now to call him up. I asked him about that. He said it was not on his mind all year, wondering when am I going to get this opportunity. That would be counterproductive. But he signed here because he thought there would be that opportunity. I know that he could be a minor league free agent after the season, so I think the club wanted to go ahead, take a look at him, evaluate him. Also, that would improve their chances maybe of keeping him in organization by doing this. And maybe he's a stopgap kind of guy next season, certainly depth, but maybe a stopgap guy if an Austin Hayes or Cedric Mullins or both aren't ready to come up. They do like him. They want to keep him in the organization. This gives them a chance to evaluate him. This is not the classical gas guy, if any old-timers get that reference. The song's been in my head all morning.
Well, Roch, 308 batting average there for MASN Williams. But how about no Ryan Mountcastle? Why?
Yeah, I don't know if any fans noticed that. There was a bit of an outcry. And, there was an interesting debate. 22 years old, International League Player of the Year. Has to go on the 40 anyway. Should they go ahead and bring him up to protect him in the Rule 5 draft? They will protect him. But they just didn't think this was the right time to do it. He's still not walking enough. And that was something that they talked about him with in last spring training. They talked to him about you need to draw more walks, try and cut down on the strikeouts. He's learning 2 new positions, first base and left field. I just think they felt like right now there's no reason to bring him up. Also, with Mark Trumbo coming off the IL, they have Chris Davis, they have Renato Nunez. They might have trouble finding some at-bats there. It's kind of clogged in the corner infield, outfield, DH spots. So they're going to wait. And obviously, there's the theories from some people that say, well, maybe they don't want to start the clock either. Does this mean he's going to start next season in AAA to have more control over him before he can be a free agent? We'll see. But at this point, they just didn't think that it was the right time to bring him up. He's still a work in progress, so obviously they love the stats, average on-base percentage, slugging, doubles, home runs, RBIs, all of those things. Still some things he needs to work on.
So no Ryan Mountcastle as of the moment, but also no Austin Hayes. How about that?
Right. He won't be shut down, though. He's going to the Arizona Fall League. The club had an opening to add another outfielder on the surprise team. And surprise, it's Austin Hayes. Instead, he won't be coming up. They feel like he's about 200 plate appearances short of what they wanted from him at AAA. Remember, he had the thumb injury starting out, had the hamstring injury later. So he was sidelined a couple times, and they just want him to get more at-bats. And they're hoping he has a really good stint in the AFL, which, by the way, starts earlier, September 18th than normal, and ends earlier than usual. It's not going to go through till around Thanksgiving, so that was a factor as well in the decision. But they want him to go ahead, get those steady at-bats in the Arizona Fall League, hopefully have a really good spring training, and they would love for him to be the opening day center fielder next year. They were hoping he'd be doing that at some point this year, but he had those injuries, and also he showed flashes, but look at his overall numbers. He was not kicking down the door this year, and I'm sure he'd be the first one to tell you that, as much as he was hoping to be here. He didn't have that monster year offensively that forced his way onto the roster.
Now, Roch, how about Tommy Pham? Now, he came through with a game-winning single last night in the 10th, also had an RBI, 2-run double. But he was complaining a little bit after the game about being pitched too close. What was going on there?
Yeah, Brandon Hyde and Dylan Tate both are a little confused as to why this is a story, but Pham really went off after the game. He didn't appreciate being hit on the knee in the 8th inning by Tanner Scott, a slider. He thought, this is the major leagues, that shouldn't happen. Then he felt like Tate buzzed him with a fastball near the head in the 10th inning. He said the dugout was chirping as if encouraging Tate to keep throwing inside. Meanwhile, Hyde said, we have one of the quietest dugouts in baseball. This place is like the Florida State League. You can hear the lights buzzing. I would have heard if guys were chirping in the dugout, and he said nobody was, and that's not how they are. So he's confused about that. And certainly Tate, in his 6th major league game, pitching the 10th inning of a tie game, a high-leverage situation he's not used to, is not trying to throw that far inside to Tommy Pham. So I think just emotions kind of got the best of him. Maybe this is how Pham motivates himself, and it worked. He ends up getting the walk-off single, had the double earlier to bring in a couple runs. But the Orioles vehemently denied that they were throwing at him or anywhere near the head. Hyde says, look, I've been hitting the head, I've been hitting the face. I get why 95-mile-an-hour fastball up and in will make you a little upset, but there was no way that there was any intent. They didn't knock him in the dirt. I'm sure Bob Gibson and Nolan Ryan are saying, wait, that's buzzing a guy? Because it was just up and a little bit in. No intent here. Kevin Cash even said he knows it wasn't intentional, and he doesn't expect any carryover. Pham batting second today in game 1, so we'll find out if a pitch accidentally gets away from somebody and is close to him, how he's going to react to it.